Wake up, buyer payer people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhoads on the Buy Here Pay Here Morning Show. Take it away, you two.
Hey everybody, welcome. Yeah, good morning from Utah.
Yeah.
We have some guests in the backstage, and they're kind of more from East Coast, so it's not really morning so much.
That's true for a lot of our
anymore,
listeners,
but,
though. You know, so
yeah, absolutely. So shout out and let us know where you are listening from, and we're hoping that towards the end of this we can get a lot of interaction from our listeners. So
yeah,
people
with,
that are
with checks. I hope they brought their checkbook. I asked them on social media, bring
absolutely.
a checkbook today. We're gonna make some pledges here. So
yeah, well, it's Wednesday, so this is our White Hat Wednesday. We do those every Wednesday, and it's about doing good for the industry and about White Hat principles, which is helping others, transparency, just all of those principles. If you want to learn more about White Hat Way, go to whitehatway.com and learn a little bit more there.
part of that is just about being neighborly, right? I mean, that's part of what a White Hat Cowboy is about. And so just being neighborly and helping others out. So that's why we've got our guests standing in the wings before we bring, our distinguished guests in. I would just say we got a couple quick updates. Got a follow up from our episode on Monday with Jason Goodman. So good. And Jason will be back with us a week from Friday on the 4th. So you're going to want to stay in. We'll have Jason back multiple times. So much to talk about on the sales management and lead management side.
Really, he and Jim, I mean, they both really understand the value of numbers. And it's been interesting to watch some of the conversation that's happening right now on social media about looking into the numbers. And we're always saying you can't measure.
Manage what you can't measure.
You can't manage what you can't measure and what you're not measuring. And so, what we're seeing is that there's a lot of truth behind what your gut tells you is not necessarily the truth. And that it can be very different things. And so we're looking forward to having him come back. And we also will be doing a lot of this kind of measuring from raw data. Next Tuesday on August 1st, we do have the truth about deal structure, and it's going to be a four session all day event, and we're going to be talking about deal structure, and we're going to be looking at a lot of data.
I was showing Michelle some of the numbers today, like we've been working on, and you're going to see us speak very specifically in a very transparent way about the data we're referring to. So that will be a little different than maybe what you're used to seeing. We want to give you the numbers, and then you can decide for yourself what the numbers tell you.
Yeah.
So anyway, that'll be good. And then of course we still got our September event on the horizon. So reach out if you want to be part of a Colorado retreat.
For the event next Tuesday, we do have in Success as well as in the boardroom a survey that if you fill out this survey, that we will get you a code for a free ticket for the event next Tuesday. There's a lot of reason why we're doing that, because this survey is the start of a bigger conversation. So if you would like to, you can find that. We'll probably repost it again today so that you can find that. I might just
quickly clear up some confusion. When we first posted that, we indicated it was going to be a coupon for a discount off the thing, and then we discovered the header on there said it was free, and we just said, let's just make it free.
I don't want to make it confusing.
For those folks who fill out the survey, it's going to be free for you. So just let's clear that up.
Yep. And like I said, it's really there's gonna be a lot of really valuable information. And anyone that gets a ticket too will be able to access the replay. So any of the recordings as well that comes with that. So you can watch it on your own time when you're at the car action or on your way or whatever, and listen to the things that we talked about on that. So
how about we bring in our guest?
I think we should.
To hear from our distinguished guest, Mr. Bret Buike.
And he wore a suit jacket, and he's home. Those of you who follow Bret on social media know how rare this is.
That's not a virtual background.
It's not.
I purposely went with the real deal today.
Sure. So is there family members are going to be passing through as we go?
Yeah, there might be a good dog bark or a family member getting ready to leave the house for sure.
That's fantastic. I love it. It's like Bret's always out on the road doing things for the company he works with, which is Buike. And I mean, he's always just always out there. So we're really grateful that you're home and that you could take an opportunity to talk to us. And White Hat Way is typically about giving back as well, to community, to customers. And that's one of the reasons why we decided this was a really good subject for us to talk about.
I think it was
today.
a White Hat Wednesday when we talked last year, Bret, in advance of your event. And so we obviously watched that, supported that. And so we were glad to bring you back to talk about that again. Such an amazing thing that you're doing, and two really great causes that you're helping to support and raise funds around. So, but before we get into this year's event, I wanted to chat with you a little bit about last year, because for me, it's
we
grueling.
watched.
For you, it might be a piece of cake.
Yeah,
but it
you
looked
had
like there had to be
Yeah.
some moments where it was tough to do the next 4 miles.
Yeah.
So talk to us about last year's event.
Yeah, so last year's event wasn't even planned. I had a lot of success the first year. It was just kind of something that I did. We raised $42,000 that first year.
Wow.
And it was a great success. And I hadn't even really thought about doing it again. And I was in a restaurant one day, and some guy walked up to us and apologized for interrupting. And he was like, "Hey, you're that Buckeye Bret guy, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I did that race with you last year." He's like, "Are you doing that again?" And immediately I just saw the look on my wife's face, and she's like, "Oh no." And I'm like, yeah, we're doing it. Of course we're doing it, So I gave myself about a whole 3 weeks to train. And I put it together, posted my videos and just shared things out, on Facebook and with my community, and said, "Hey, I'm going to do that thing again." And, with 2 weeks of total donations, I was able to raise another, $27,000 in a very short period of time. And, my personal network and my family network, and especially my professional network, through Buckeye and the industry, really showed up in a huge way to support me. As you know, Bill Elizondo, now with, NIADA, did the whole thing with me virtually.
Yeah.
So, he was at home, and he was running every morning and torturing his dog, and he helped me raise a bunch of money in a short period of time. And because of those efforts, I was able to donate significant amount of money 2 times to the 2 organizations that support me, the Nord Center and Recovery Resources. And since then, I've been asked to be a board member. I'm learning a lot about, the illnesses, about what it takes to, fight drug and alcohol addiction, mental health, and support the veterans, with suicide prevention. And, it's going really well. And I just decided that, it's been such a positive experience for me. And now that I realize that I'm actually doing some good, that it's something I want to commit to doing every year as long as my body will hold me up. Yeah.
Sure. Well, that's beautiful. I think you might just share kind of what the David Goggins thing means to you. Like I shared with you, I've started to follow since last year's
they're separate
event.
things, right?
Yeah.
It's you do the Goggins to raise money for a charity, but the Goggins is not the charity. The Goggins
Correct.
is the vehicle for raising money for the charity.
Right. So the Goggins Challenge is basically a mental fitness test and an endurance run where you cover 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. It's specifically designed to be ridiculous. It's designed to be tough physically and emotionally. You're supposed to do it without sleep, or at least I do, to make it just even more of a mental fitness. And people often confuse it with a fitness challenge. It is not. It is absolutely a mental challenge. And I was, coming into my 40th birthday and looking for, positivity and motivation. And, I read his book and I started following him. And I just decided that what better way to raise awareness and to try and raise some money and to do something for my 40th birthday than do this crazy challenge that has a lot of notoriety and try and, build on that. And it ended up working out for me. But the Goggins Challenge it's difficult. It's definitely a physical feat. He's a very intense man, and he's all about overcoming, mental barriers, believing in yourself, personal accountability. And I think a lot of those things are the foundations of helping people with, drug and alcohol addiction, mental health, depression, and suicidal, tendencies.
Yeah, we got a little video we can play. Goggins is a retired Navy SEAL, right? And now just does a lot of motivational speaking and podcasting, et cetera. So let's play that video.
All right. And how do I play? Right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why my eyes and my body light up about things, because I know that if you're in a fight, you have to attack. You have to keep attacking. The enemy has to know he is not going to give up. You must break the soul of whatever the fuck is in front of you.
I need to start.
What separates me from a lot of people is they go into a daunting task, and the task is overwhelming. Like when I heard the pull-up record was 4,020 pull-ups, and I was talking about breaking this record, people are like, oh my God. I went right to a pen and paper. They go, what are you doing? I'm doing the math, man. What are you talking about? I'm open-minded to the fact that, okay, if I do 5 pull-ups in a minute for so many hours, I can get so many pull-ups in. How much time do I have to rest? I was breaking the math down. You have to be open-minded to the possibilities that I can do this. Once you shut your mind down to the possibility that it can be achieved, there's no way it can happen.
We'll stop it there. But you get the idea. I mean, gosh, you said a mental, fitness test is like it's the mindset, right? It's like we sometimes we let our body tells our brain we need to stop, right? And so, what we watched in you last year and your perseverance on that was really incredible. And obviously he really, does a nice job of describing and helping people break past these kind of patterns in our brain or whatever that make us want to stop. And so we just admire the effort that you put in on that, Bret, and certainly maybe tell us a little bit about why this matters to you, like why you chose the charities that you did. We're going to introduce, we've got both the executive directors here, so we'll bring them in momentarily, but I wanted to hear from you first. Is like, talk to me about why these particular charities matter to you.
Yeah. So, I chose these charities for a couple of reasons. One, because they represent the counties, that I live in and that I support, right? I live in Lorain County. Cuyahoga County is the neighboring one. Obviously, I lost my sister in this county. I've lost a lot of friends. I have other friends, in Cuyahoga County. My nephew who committed suicide lived in Cuyahoga County. And I thought, I can't, save the world, but I can do some good, right here at home where I live, and hopefully it will spread. And when I started doing these challenges and was raising money, initially it feels insignificant, right? Like, what is 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand in the grand scheme of, the opioid epidemic and, mental health and suicide and all these things that are going on. And when I was introduced to these two organizations that I decided to support, how positive they were, how much support they showed me, and what a big deal they made about what I thought were, measly $20,000 checks. It got me excited about that, maybe I am doing some good, and then as it builds, you start meeting strangers and you start meeting the people who work in these organizations, and you hear their stories about, why they got into that business and their family members and the people that they've helped. And it really changed my opinion of the whole thing. Like, this started out to me as almost like an I'm sorry for a failure. Right? I was like, I let my family members down.
We've been there.
And then, it's an emotional event for me for sure. And they helped me put a very positive spin on it. They've been overwhelmingly supportive. They've created some 5K races that is also helping to raise money. And then they decided that I was doing enough and that I was the type of person that they wanted on their board of directors, which was a huge, honor and also an extremely humbling moment. Because, thinking of yourself as influential or an influencer or doing some good, it's weird. It's like a compliment that's hard to take. But now I'm just kind of, embracing the challenge and trying to be the best board member I can and raise as much money as I can and just do as good as I can. And they've really helped me navigate the process and educate myself. And I feel like I'm better equipped to help people with their problems today than obviously I was, before. And everything that I'm trying to do is about getting access and awareness to people, and also reducing the stigma about asking for help, when it comes to drug and alcohol addiction and mental health, right? Because there's an admission of fault of, I can't handle this on my own. And that can be very difficult. And I think the easier that we make it to get the good information into people's hands, and the more honest I am, about my emotions and how difficult this is for me, and that, you know, from even like a mental health aspect, like I've had to work really hard to be okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
You
Well,
know, it's
Yeah, please.
I don't know personally know a single superhuman
Yeah.
that doesn't have challenges and doesn't have those kind of thoughts, and that we think if we share them, that people will think less of us.
Right.
That is so not the truth. You share them, and people come forward and say, "Hey, I had the same thing," or "Hey, I get you. We've struggled with this as well," and it starts to build community when you share.
Well, and we also know, Bret, that so many people who will hear this, so many families have been affected. In particular, my mind right now is on addiction, and my family's no exception. Like, we've been through that. Thankfully, my family members are in recovery and healthy today. But it's an ongoing battle, and a lot of people are fighting that fight out there. And so we certainly see the need. And I think, what I would share about your situation is we recognize people who are listening today. We're inviting them to donate. We're going to share the link to your your actual GoFundMe account so that people can go directly in there and donate. And but we think what's important, Bret, is that you've helped a lot of people in the industry. You built a lot of equity in the industry by being a mentor, and so I think people will do this because it's important to you, not because it's in their community. It's because it's important to you.
And they support you. Yeah.
And we support you in that.
Yeah. And like I said, it's, I think that nowadays it's, you can throw a stone and hit 3 people that this has affected.
Yes.
Sure.
And, I'm very honest about, losing my sister to a heroin overdose, losing my nephew to suicide. And, he was a veteran. And I think, being honest about how much it affected me and my family, allowing yourself to be, vulnerable about it, it makes it easier for other people to reach out. And I have had a lot of people that I know in the industry, a lot of people that I don't know, people who I would consider good friends, all the way down to perfect strangers, reach out to me about my videos, about issues that they're having. And that's just not something I was prepared for. I never expected to be on people's show talking about it. And it never occurred to me that, putting my personal grief and being, vulnerable online in front of millions of people was going to be probably one of the strongest things I could do to be helpful and to honor Katie and Justice. And so I'm happy to do it, and it's therapeutic, and
it's good.
I feel like I'm doing some good.
You are, and we applaud you for it. I would just say it's part also how we all move past the stigma. We just got to talk about it. We got to be transparent.
That's with so many different things. Yeah.
So
should we bring in? We're going to add a couple of people to the stream that are here. As Bret mentioned that there were a couple of organizations that are benefiting from the money that's raised, and he is currently on the board for both of these. Bret, do you want to go ahead and introduce our other guests?
Yeah, absolutely. So just below me there is Shona, and she is the president and CEO of Recovery Resources, which is my Cuyahoga County connection. And they put on the Run for Recovery, which is one of the 5Ks, actually going to be at the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo. So one of my 4-mile runs will actually be there. And they put on a great event. Again, it's all about raising money and awareness. And then the bottom left is Don. He's the CEO of the Nord Center, which is my Lorain County connection. And again, they're also putting on a 5K race at the Burr Oak Reservation, and their event will actually be my last run. So when I cross the finish line at their 5K, that'll be my 48th mile. And, just to talk a little bit about these organizations, over the last week, I've, had the pleasure of doing 2 board meetings in person with kind of the large board, and to see all the things that go on in the background to, and what it takes to run an organization of their size and do all the good that they're going to do is, it's been a real learning experience. And I applaud them both for everything that they do and for all the support that they've given me. So,
yeah, of course. Shona, you want to share with us kind of what happens at Recovery Resources?
Yes, thanks so much. And thanks again, Bret, for all that you're doing to help raise awareness, as well as raise funds for both of our organizations. And thanks for the opportunity, Jim and Michelle, to be here with you today.
Welcome.
So Recovery Resources, our mission is helping people triumph over mental illness, addiction, alcoholism, and other addictions in our community. We serve over 4,000 clients in Northeast Ohio in terms of direct care and services. In addition, we provide prevention services out in our schools. So hopefully to break the pattern before they have to be clients with us farther down the road. We serve some of the sickest in our community, and those are individuals experiencing both severe and persistent mental illness as well as substance use disorder. And so helping move them along the path from clinical treatment towards recovery is what our team here is meant to do. In addition to prevention services and clinical treatment, we also provide employment services and the wraparound services, and someone might need to help them along their journey. For those of us that are not struggling with mental illness and addiction, it's hard enough to navigate the healthcare and behavioral healthcare system, much less having all of those additional challenges. And so we have our team really wraps around our clients through case management, peer support, and others to help them along their journey. So, and when they're ready, we also help them with employment services and help them engage in the community, which is oftentimes a goal of those that we serve.
Yeah, that's really noble and important work that you do there. And so you can see why Bret wants to be a part of that. So Don, what about you? You want to tell us what happens at the Nord Center?
Sure, I would love to. And again, I want to echo Shona's comments. I am thrilled to be part of this. I'm thrilled to have Shona as a resource as we put on our first inaugural 5K Mind Over Miles run.
Nice.
And Bret for not only inspiring us, but also participating as a valued board member. So my name is Don Schiffbar. I'm the CEO for the Nord Center. We are situated in Lorain County, right next to the lake. And we're not too dissimilar in our services from my colleague Shona at Recovery Resources. We're a community behavioral health agency. We service all of Lorain County, which has about a population of 312,000, and we touch 1 out of 43 lives within our community. We have 5 service lines. We provide child and adolescent services, comprehensive behavioral health. We also do it for adults. We are the largest provider of residential services for people with severe and persistent mental illness. We have 4 congregate living homes as well as 3 independent living facilities. And I'm sure Shona would agree, finding affordable housing or landlords that are willing to provide apartments or homes to people that suffer from mental illness is very, very difficult, whether you're in Cuyahoga County or Lorain County. We are the rape crisis and sexual assault services hub for Lorain County and Huron County. So we provide rape crisis and sexual assault support to victims and survivors, both adults as well as children. And then we are the crisis provider. So for those of you that haven't heard, that might be listening, 988 is a national initiative. It is a new crisis hotline. It's essentially the 911 for behavioral health. So people experiencing a behavioral health or substance use disorder, all you got to do is pick up the phone, you call 988, and it's going to ring right to a 988 receiving center. And we happen to be a receiving center for not only Lorain County, but another 7, and then back up to a number of others. And then we have mobile crisis services that actually deploy, just like your police and EMS, out to the community to provide emergency behavioral health services to the members, to the community of Lorain County.
Amazing. Love it.
I often wonder when we're talking about mental illness and also addiction, we see a large percentage of people that go down a spiral in both of those things and end up on the streets or homeless. What a beautiful thing that you're able to do to help people get a bed to sleep in, the help that they need, and a pathway to being able to step back into being employed and being an asset to their community as well. And I applaud you for that, because the alternative is really sad.
Yeah.
It's not pretty.
Yeah. So Bret, you want to share kind of a little bit more about that?
Yeah. And so again, my relationship with them, being very honest, I'm a pretty outspoken guy. I love speaking up in the board meetings, and it's all about, access to care, access to education, making it as easy as possible for people to get what they need. And to put that in context, again, I'll kind of poke some fun at myself, right? So while my sister and my nephew were going through their issues, I own my own businesses. Money isn't an issue. I have health care. I'm a high functioning individual. My family has vacation homes. My family goes on vacation, right? We are not the stereotypical, low income, struggling, entity that people associate with these diseases. And, we had the same outcome.
Yeah.
We had the same outcome because, I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know the Nord Center existed.
Right.
The whole time I was going through what we went through with my sister-in-law. So, my whole thing is, had I known more, had we had easier access, had Katie been able to access some things on her own, had Justice thought it was okay to reach out, we could have had potentially better outcomes. So anything that I can do to help the Nord Center and recovery resources get that information out there, and anything that we can do for your family members or for the individuals who are struggling, to let them know that 988 exists, or all the things that we're working on in the future, as far as interacting with people on social media and kind of giving them access to our information in the spaces where they like to consume information. Man, I wish it was free to just put all this information out there, but it is not. This is all funded by people who are watching the show, like myself, grants, the government, local municipalities, and
donations.
We need all the help that we can get, because it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your credit score is, your income level. It affects everybody. And if you don't have access to the resources, and if you don't know where to go to get help, the outcomes can be bad.
Yeah,
but we can only do so much.
Yeah, one of the things I shared, Bret, with a lot of people who have been touched by addiction is, when my own child was going through addiction, it got really ugly. And I was fortunate to be in a place where fairly early on, I was able to share with people that thankfully I recognized fairly early that I alone couldn't fix it.
Yep.
You got to have the resources. You got to have the people who know. And so it's better to reach out.
Yeah.
And find that help. So yeah, I support what you're doing. I'm fortunate that my loved one is healthy. I just think that having lived through it, it's important that people support these efforts in their communities. And so again, we're glad to have you here.
Yes.
We're glad to be able to lend a little.
And I appreciate that, and thank you for sharing.
To spread the word. We shared, by the way, our broadcast goes out to a couple of Facebook groups. It goes out to LinkedIn. It goes YouTube. We've shared the GoFundMe page, the link to your GoFundMe on those channels, and so we would invite people to jump over there. Tell us quickly. You've been with Buike Dealership Consulting for some time. Tell us quickly what Buike does, and then tell us what Rob Fox is committed to do.
Yeah. So again, Buike Dealership Consulting, at this point, most people probably know what I do. We offer, all the reinsurance services, reinsurance company management, helping people, build their own F&I products. We do dealership consulting, basically anything that you need to kind of get better, either, between, directly at Buike and our staff of, industry professionals, or all of our amazing, other relationships with, some of the best vendors and the best people like yourselves in the industry. I always like to say, I may not have the answers, but I promise you, I know somebody who does.
Right.
So we try to just be a huge resource, to our dealers. My background is, from back when my father and I had our stores. we had 7 locations, and Buckeye was my reinsurance company provider. So I've used Buckeye. I work for Buckeye now. I very much enjoy what I do because I enjoy being in the dealerships and, talking to dealers like a dealer and having a good time. And Buckeye is also a phenomenal company to work for. It's about as close to owning your own business as you can get, and still work for somebody. Rob is a great boss. Our company has a fantastic culture. We have a lot of really good people working for us. I can honestly say that, it's one of those offices where there's nobody who annoys me. So everyone's extremely helpful. And so, last Friday I was at a meeting. I just actually left Recovery Resources board meeting, went directly to another meeting with some clients. And, I got a phone call. And, so I'm in a, bar restaurant with music in the background. You look down at your phone, you see Rob Fox. I'm like, oh boy, so I go running outside to take his call. And
Rob
it had nothing to do with work.
Rob is the president.
Rob's the president of Buckeye Dealership Consulting. Yeah. And he called me up and he says, hey, how's it going? And making small talk. And I'm like, hey, what do you need? He's like, oh yeah, by the way, how's your thing going? I hope everything's going well. And, your race. And he's like, obviously, I want to participate. And, he thinks that everything I'm doing is great. And he was, wanted to be a part of it. And he goes, okay, so I got an idea. He goes, why don't you do one of those Buckeye Bret Facebook thingies that you do? He goes, and, he goes and let everybody know that, whatever you raise between now and like, not this Friday, but next Friday, he's actually going to match it. Not the call I was expecting. Obviously I was, very, very grateful. I've had a couple of other things going on, and Rob and his wife, Chris, have definitely stepped up. They've been very supportive of me through my efforts for the, Recovery Resources, the Nord Center, raising money. And also, really, really supportive of me, after I lost my brother at a young age last year. Mm-hmm. And I can't say enough about him as a person. Yeah. That is just a huge gesture, and I'm extremely grateful for the type of support that I get from the people that I work for. So I was really happy to get that call.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Amazing. So we like Jim said, we've put the GoFundMe link. It looks like it's gone to most of the pages, and so we'll go ahead and add those directly into Success and the boardroom. And then when we download this for our syndicated page, we'll go ahead and put that link in there as well. So fantastic. If you have an opportunity to listen to this and you're one of the people that are downloading the podcast, that will actually be in the comments for you to be able to get to that link.
And we're going to challenge our dealer listeners, our Buy Here Pay Your Industry listeners to write a check. If we can get Rob Fox to match it.
People write checks anymore.
I don't know.
I'm digging in the cushions of the couch, Bret. I'm checking the coin thing in the car. I'm digging up all the coins. We're going to see what we can get Rob to match.
The only checks I ever see are those big, huge cardboard things that say, we are giving this. But I don't.
Well, okay. Don't write a check. Go to GoFundMe, click the button. Do the
use
thing.
Your debit card, credit card, whatever, and be able to donate that way. Shona and Don, thank you so much for joining us today and telling us a little bit about your company. Do you want anything, last words before you head backstage?
Shona?
Just thank you again. And I want to highlight all of the conversation. The highest number of referrals we receive are from family members.
Yes.
And so knowing that it's okay to reach out, knowing how important and how impactful it can be. And I think that was one of the first conversations Bret and I had, was around not knowing who to reach out to when his family was struggling. And so often that's the most difficult, but the most helpful first step is just to make a call. So whether it's to 988 and getting a referral, or looking at, because I know this is a broadcast broadly, across, nationally. And so being able to look at resources in your community, I think, is really, really important. So I appreciate the opportunity to raise awareness, as well as to raise funds, but really to raise awareness and to know how important it is, and that it's okay to reach out for help, and that organizations like Recovery Resources and the Nord Center are here for you.
Good. Excellent. Very good. And
Don?
Yeah, and I'll be brief. Bret talked about his experience with his family members. I guarantee if they had sprained their ankle or twitched their wrist or had shortness of breath, nobody would have had any reservation about picking up the phone and calling somebody about, hey, I hurt my ankle. Do you know a good orthopedic? Or do you know a good cardiologist? I'm having some palpitations. I've spent the majority of my career in the hospital space. We don't blink an eye at spending $1 million on a new cath lab or building a heart center. But part of this, and what I appreciate, and Jim, I really appreciate your vulnerability, is we need to bring parity between physical medicine and mental health. What's going on up here is no different than these two things expanding and unexpanding in your chest, or this thing beating in your chest. Sure. It undergoes the same biochemistry, the same needs, and we need to treat acute depressive disorders and psychotic disorders no different than a heart attack or stroke. So, Bret, thank you again. Shona, I appreciate your support, and Jim and Michelle, this has been a wonderful opportunity.
Thank you.
Glad to
Thank
have
you
you
so
here.
much. I'm going to throw you, not throw you. I'm going to put you guys backstage so we can, no throwing. You don't have to make noises. And again, thank you so much. If you guys want to stick around for just a minute, and then we can wrap up after the show is over. Thanks again.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, hang in there,
Bret, thank you again for joining us. Really, really appreciate the work that you're doing. And again, the GoFundMe will be in the comments for all of the different social channels that we have. And then it'll also be in the comments for the syndicated podcast once it goes into our regular syndicated page. So best of luck. And
thank you. And thanks again for, allowing me to use your guys' platform.
You're so welcome.
To get the word out. And always good to see you guys.
Yeah. Well, and I feel really fortunate we got to do this last year and bring some awareness about it too. So glad that we could do that again. So thank you so much. Bret. Stick around for just a second and we'll do a second. The moral of the story is talk about it.
Yeah.
If your family or whatever are struggling, and it's just be open with, be vulnerable around others, because when someone sees what it is that you're doing, or, knows the struggles that you're going through, or maybe is watching the different pathways that you're using, when something like that happens in their family, they may call. And they may say, hey, I've got this thing. How can I help? And it's easier sometimes to call a friend to get the ball rolling than it is to call just an outside organization. It's like, I need some support from that. So talk about it and know that, I know that our two other guests, Shona and Don, are from a very specific region in the U.S. Every region out there is going to have something. Sure. And so remember 988 on that. And, I just before we go, Jim's had those types of threads in their family. And I have as well. I have a son who served in Afghanistan and is suffered tremendously from PTSD. And we've had lots of different close calls. And luckily he's been able to get the help that he needs. And just super, super grateful to watch his progress and his ability to be able to step back in to being a part of what's happening in the family and all of the things. So so grateful for all the organizations that are out there. Again, GoFundMe, look for the comments. Anything that is raised, Buckeye, Rob Fox is going to be matching that.
Well done, Rob Fox.
Well done, Rob Fox. Anything else before we go? All right, guys, have a fantastic day, the rest of your day. We're really, really grateful that everyone joined us on this White Hat Wednesday. It's been a little bit out of the norm. We haven't been talking so much about buy here, pay here, but it's a really good cause. Have a great day, everybody, again, and we'll see you on Friday.